comment. Brian, do you want to be first?
Sure. What I wanted to speak about today is contamination in solid waste. Okay. Now, we saw earlier, that there's a penalty like for the third and fourth offense of, contaminating the recyclables, where, fourth offense is like a 6-month penalty and stuff like that. So, I was wondering, if there's an equivalent penalty for contaminating solid waste with partisan politics, which is what I've been seeing happening here. I noticed that there was an incident with solid waste in April 1st where a truck was struck, okay? And fortunately, nobody was injured, but there was probably some time down because Bill Steiner had to make a trip out there and that. So my concern is that if we allow partisan politics to interfere with the hiring of truck drivers when we need them, then we expose, the drivers who are overworked to risks that they might, because they're overworked, cause an accident or be unable to avoid an accident and that. And so this is, contamination of the process of hiring people for solid waste. And it would put the solid waste department at risk of not being able to complete the routes. So, I'm concerned about this, and I think we need to make a resolution that all those actions have to happen before the board, that no single commissioner will be concerning themselves with the qualifications of people being hired, because it's totally inappropriate. My further comment is that it seemed like after this executive session, a decision had been made in the executive session, and this decision was announced afterwards. Well, that isn't allowed really. You're only allowed to consider stuff. You're not allowed to come to a decision in executive session. But there was no discussion outside of executive session that showed where you reached that decision. That's a violation. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Steve?
Yeah. Hi, how you guys?
Good.
Ladies doing today? It's been a while. Still taking care of the aunt and my father, so everything's been on the back burner a little bit, but everything's running through my head, just trying to make a change if possible. The reason why I was here because, like I said, I read the story, maybe I misread it because I thought a lot of the drug people were going to be here today. Well, we lost my mom because of the opiate issues. My mom took opiates for 20 years, and then 4 days before she passed away, UH Hospital stopped her cold turkey. And as a family, we tried to take her out of the hospital, but they told us we wasn't allowed because she wasn't stable. Yeah. And well, in my eyes, the reason why she wasn't stable was because my mom had this disease where she hurt all the time, some kind of spinal, whatever, because 20 years ago, when the doctor told my mom that she would have to be on these drugs, my dad called the doctor a quack because the doctor told my dad, well, it's okay, Mr. English, your wife can be addicted to these drugs because she has to take them the rest of her life anyways. That was what the doctors were saying to these people 20 years ago. And and my mom fell victim to it here in this county because we got such a high thing with drugs, and the hospital stopped my mom cold turkey, and that's like saying alcoholic. If someone that's been taking alcohol for 20 years and you stop that person cold turkey, that's not going to affect their body, that's not going to affect their heart, and people are trying to tell me, but if I ask a drug addict, the first thing they tell me is it's because of, you know, they took her off it. But if I ask someone that, like, say, that has a, like, thing like that, oh, we don't know their stats or whatever, you know, that doesn't happen that way. But, you know, but in my eyes, well, even though you haven't lived it, these drug addicts have lived it. So I would think these drug addicts would be more credible than this binder where you're reading it from. This, you know, that you guys sit behind and try to dispense all this money. I think a person has to actually live it, to actually know to make a change at the end of the day. So the only reason I was wondering, and because my brother was the same way before he passed away, because I lost both my mom and my brother because of opiates in these last 2 years. And that's, and one thing with my brother was, they, well, let's get him into drug rehab, this kind of stuff, whatever, you know, well, go to Neocom and Warren, or they were trying to give him a place in Florida to take him, and, you know, and all these waiting lists and all this kind of stuff. Well, I know that we're a county seat and Warren, this kind of stuff, so what I was wondering is, I mean, this is just a wild, you know, question is, why can't we turn this hospital back into a drug refurbish it and turn it back into a drug rehab hospital? You guys build a new building, say, I think you guys own land up by the courthouse, that big square lot behind the courthouse, behind the mayor's, by the thingy. Why couldn't you guys maybe consider building a new tower there? You know, 300 or 400 spaces underground, parking, and then build up. And then, you know, because I've asked people here in this building, it's like, you know, and they said, because I said, well, why doesn't the city of Urbana give up the county seat? And some people in this office said, well, yeah, I wish they would, because she said, do you think we like looking out over this thing? We'd rather be in Kent where we're looking out everything beautiful. Here, when you guys look out windows, you guys don't see, you know. So, because I was one of these people, like, why don't we give away the county seat? Why can't Portage County give away, because young people aren't being told about the county seat nowadays. If you have a young, like your son, does your son know that Urbana's a county seat?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of young people don't know that because they're not being told that. Because see, back then it seems like it might have been segregation. Do we house all these poor people in one section, and then, you know, and that was easy? Because at the end of the day, does Bridgetown, Aurora, do they have places for homeless people, or do they have, you know, families? Because I was one of the ones that's been bullied, our families, because I relived in this. When we moved to Bridgetown back in the 70s, see, my brother would have graduated from Urbana in 1979. So when we moved into Bridgetown in 1979, and my family moved out there on Harris Road, we had a cross burned in our front yard, because it turned out because my sister went to, my mom was a member of the church over here by Black Horse. I think the ones you build in the new Haven of Hope's, the ones, that's that church over there. When it was started, Pastor Shahan was the guy that was there. And they basically were trying to tell my sister, oh, you can't marry out, you can't be with this black boy, because it was a black boy. It turned out to be Ronald Foster. And this Foster boy was really a bad person here in Urbana a long time ago. So we moved there so my mom could keep her kids from the drugs and that kind of stuff, and not want that around. Well, when we moved there, they burned a cross in our yard because they found out that my sister liked the black boy. And that year before we moved there, they had stoned a black family from there, from Bridgetown. They had shot out the windows and all this kind of stuff. So there was a time when I was being raised, there was a lot of hatred compared to today. And that's where, and then I went back to college to Fortis to try to, you know, make myself better. You know, trying to revitalize my hometown like I was trying to do here. I went back to Fortis College. Well, it turns out I turn around, I get bullied there, and I leave Fortis College because there's a boy, I don't know if you remember the story, it was just, what was it, 2 years ago, when the young woman out here across from Walmart got beat to death, or got almost beat to death in her trailer because this woman came in and beat her because of heroin. And I sat behind, I was in the computer labs and I was doing thingy, and I sat there 2 days before that woman got attacked and listened to this young man telling this young woman that she was going to be killed because her boyfriend went to jail, and that she's responsible for this drug money. And this little girl's on the computer trying to find thingies to get grants. She said, well, give me till Monday and all this kind of stuff. I'll have the money Monday. And the boy's like, oh, they're not going to wait till Monday. It has to happen Friday. And turns out the same boy that was doing all this, I don't know if you remember, but Kent State was shut down because a young man pulled a gun on the campus over in the dorms where he was going to shoot his girlfriend, and he shot himself. There was a story about it. It was a young black man, and they shut down the campuses and all this kind of stuff. Well, this young man was not allowed to go to Kent State or Akron because they wouldn't take him. Well, heaven forbid, Portage College lets this young man attend there. He brings in the book bag, the gun, and all this kind of stuff. He brags about and counting how he's a drug dealer. All these, there was a couple young girls that was in the room behind, was in the county. And while we were sitting in the county, these two girls were talking, they were taking criminal justice. And she was talking about how they were drug addicts, welfare recipients, this kind of stuff. Well, this woman turned around, this young African-American woman turns around and says, "You better stop talking like this, or we're gonna kill your bitch ass," and this kind of stuff.
Right.
Called her, because she was a lesbian, called her all these names and all this kind of stuff. Well, these girls left the room at the college and went out to tell Brenda Scalera. She was the dean of students, I think it was, not the lady at the office, but she taught classes. She went out and told her, a young lady's come back in the room and says, the lady told her, "This is the world we'll grow up. Don't," and go. Well, then they turned around and they called me a punk ass faggot.
Oh my.
So I went out to report it. Well, they did everything. I went to try to make the claim and all this kind of stuff. They told me to write this. I said, "Well, you know, he did this. Well, you write this." And I'm thinking, why do you want me to write this when this really happened? And they made me, and I'm a firm believer in karma, and I noticed that Portage College is not there no more.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they closed, but it makes me wonder, you know, on that part because of that. But it's just like with the drug, and I know it's bad and all this kind of stuff, but to get back to the thing, because I'm just trying to tell you a little bit of my story, why I'm here and why, you know, I have such a passion for it. And this, like I said, with this hospital, and like with my brother and that kind of stuff, why can't we turn this hospital into a, like I said, like a needle camp, where the place where these people have to leave our county to go to Warren, I think it is. What, you know what it's called, by any chance?
Neocap?
Yeah, neocap. Why can't we create a neocap here in
Well,
Portage County?
I know there's several people looking into trying to do something. I mean, it's not public knowledge yet, but I know there's several companies and agencies looking to collaborate and looking to not only do rehabilitation recovery centers, but you had mentioned also about the golf course and
Yeah.
turning it into like tiny houses
Yeah,
for homeless.
yeah,
and
you know, like a step up,
addicted.
yeah.
It's sort of like what the Haven of Portage is trying.
Okay.
That's it. So there are things in the work, and we always appreciate you coming in, Mr. English, and bringing us up to date on stuff and
Okay.
your concerns. We know you're a true passionate person for Portage County. You know, I still remember, was it last year, Vicki, or the year before, you did the stuffed toy
Yeah, yeah.
for the kids, and it was on the front page, I think, of the paper with your animal, your stuffed
And no one was allowed to
animals.
help me.
Yeah.
I had all these ladies in Akron that was calling the mayor's office because I was trying to take my platform out of Portage County to tell these upstanding ladies of society. So I was telling these ladies, and these ladies were behind me. They thought it was a great idea, and they said, "Well, can we do?" It was the Chaparral Bingo Hall, the quartet people there. Those girls were to come here and help decorate and help this kind of stuff. And these ladies called the city of Urbana, the mayor's office, and asked them, and they were told that basically no. After I went and said all this and everything, and like I was telling this reporter back here, that, you know, it's like when they did the story on this with Brian up here thingy. Ryan has been told, someone has told Ryan that she's not allowed to help me. That's the reason why we didn't do the decoration of the tree, because at the end of the day, I wanted to try to bring back traditions to hometown values, you know, and I wanted to decorate our Christmas tree with all the local ornaments, and I walked around in Ravenna, collect ornaments, and I even had one lady say, it was so funny, she wanted to give me an ornament because she said, "Why, you think I'm going to let those guys look good when they don't even take care of the west side?" And then the next door neighbor gave me 3 dash hounds to put on the tree. as a thing to get on. And that's all I'm just saying, is I'm just trying to, and I know there's like a lot of stuff, people saying this kind of stuff, but it's like being pushed back and that kind of stuff. Even like with the city of Ravenna, trying to bring it back to a whole, even Portage County, we
well,
need.
thank
We hope
Thank
you
you,
do not
Steve.
lose
Yeah.
your passion.
Okay.
With the obstacles and stuff, but good things are about to happen, and we appreciate you coming in today, Mr.
Okay.
English.
I mean, that's
So
good.
Thank you
So,
so
I mean,
much.
you're welcome.
Anytime.
So, I know it's not public, does it look like that maybe this might get turned back into a rehab hospital then?
And no, there's no plans at this point in time, it's not this thing. I
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because my mom died because of the
Opiate
the
epidemic.
epidemic, and I blame the manufacturing, all this kind of stuff. And I remember you, Miss Clyde, weren't you like a House representative at the state level? As a person, am I able to go to those, because my mom died that's horrific death, and because they're talking about how these opiate companies want to give back, or do because of everything, of the hardship and all this kind of stuff. Am I able to go and present my story to them and say, well, hey, I need $100 million from you guys to get back to our community here because I want to do a hospital and my mom died. Am I able to ask those kind of people for that kind of money to come here to do this?
The House of Representatives is a public body, so you're
Okay.
allowed to, it's the people's house, so
Okay.
it belongs to you. You can go there and
Just
testify.
just to ask a question like I'm asking here?
You have to follow the procedures. They have hearings where they allow witnesses to testify, and
Okay.
I encourage you to check out ohiohouse.gov.
Okay.
You can find out more about that.
Okay, all right. Because I'm just curious, because like I said, I just whatever, but it just makes me upset in a sense, I'm just trying to think, it's like everything's just been like 4 or 5 years now, because I even came to try to get I went in front of Parks and Recreations out here in Ravenna to try to get a city pool. It's like, you want families to come here, but no family that's making $50,000 to $100,000 in that bracket, they're not gonna bring their kids here to raise them with nothing to do, nothing to offer them. Families aren't gonna come here. Families aren't gonna come here as long as this drug epidemic is such an outrage. If you go on wikipedia.com and go to the Urban Dictionary, they say that Ravenna is a black hole.
Oh my.
That's how bad it is. That's what I'm saying. And that's why, I was just wondering with the county seat and all this, because I thought because we were a county seat, that our obligation was to get back to the homeless and to the poor and to the thing. That's why the county seat was there. That county seat areas, that's where the humanitarians live, the ones who actually do care about the poor and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they want to get back,
Yeah.
and that
Thank
kind
you
of
so
stuff.
much, Steve.
So-
I appreciate you
Steve,
All right,
coming.
Thank you.
okay,
We appreciate
just,
you coming.
okay, one last question, Ms. Klein, because you've been here all the time, you've been here for many, many years. Just hypothetically, I know they said it was money and all this kind of stuff, but why didn't we get a YMCA for the kids? I mean, you lived here, you've been a commissioner, why did we not get a YMCA? I mean, because as a whole, I think it's our obligation to give back. So why don't we have a YMCA?
Well, it's probably money.
Well, I can
Right.
also, I know a little bit on that.
Okay,
And
I mean-
also, it was the wetlands there, the lands were
Okay.
really wet back there, so after doing their due diligence, I don't think, after they did some boring and stuff and soil samples, I don't think they found it to be conducive to putting a YMCA there.
Oh, okay, all right,
So,
okay,
okay.
yeah, okay. Because I went to when, that big church that just sold here on Prospect Street, that
Yeah.
34,000 square foot.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yes, I know it was, but I went to the thing, it's like, well, why can't we turn that into a YMCA?
I don't know.
I'm just saying but that was my thing, it's like, why can't we create a YMCA here? Because I went up to the architect, he said it's like 34,000 square foot, it can house a pool and everything. Because I noticed one thing with Ravenna, which I don't understand, is we got this big elaborate school out here, but we don't have a city, we don't have a pool. Ken has a pool, we built such a big high school, but we didn't give a pool to the kids of Ravenna. Why wouldn't we give them a pool? I know it's money, but at the end of the day, aren't kids supposed to be first? I mean, I thought money was, I would think, because if no disrespect, if that's what it takes, I'll go out and start asking. I mean, I'll show you right here. I mean, I'll leave you on this one, I promise you. I've been going around asking people, it's like, if you knew a nickel could change the world, would you help me with my dream? And I tell these people my dreams. So people have been giving me nickels and dimes, every person I talk to, and ask, you know, and I'm raising this money to create something. I mean, can I present this to you guys, saying that I would like to, you say there's nothing in the works, can I present this to say that I want to turn this back into a drug rehab hospital, and put this on the books that you have a resident trying to actually do this and find the funding to do it? How would I, where do I start to do that?
I would encourage you to hold on to that.
Okay.
And you're already on the record as
Okay.
saying that you are a resident and this is something that you feel strongly about, and our clerk is taking those minutes, so you accomplished that here today.
Okay,
And we want you to keep that, keep growing it,
Okay.
and we appreciate you coming in today.
Okay, I
Yeah.
appreciate your time, and nice thing. I voted for you. I voted for you too, and I voted for you too.
Nice
So
to meet
I,
you.
that's why I, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just a fact. And like I said, I'm just, you know, I might be a poor man, but even though I might be poor,
But your heart's in the right
there
place.
you go, there you go. And at the end of the day, like I told the city council, she was there the night. I might be a guy, but I'm one of these guys that I may have walked the shoes of a poor man, I may have walked the shoes of a rich man, I might have walked the shoes of a middle class man, but I've walked the shoes of all three of those. And most people aren't that way. Most people are, when they're born into the thing, they're there their whole life. So like say you guys, you know, I don't know any of you guys, but did you guys ever have to live a poor life? Did you guys ever have to struggle, hypothetically? You know what I'm saying? Where not every person had that struggles. Because like I said, some people are just born into it, and that's where they stay their whole life.
Right.
I'm gonna say thank you,
Okay.
Mr. English,
You're
and I'm
welcome.
gonna move to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry, I'm
No,
sorry,
it's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, didn't you want to talk? Did I take, oh, I'm sorry, okay, I thought maybe I,
Okay.
oh, I'm
Other
sorry.
opportunities, other
You
opportunities
ladies
to
have a
talk.
great day.
All right, thank you, Mr. English. Okay, I will second the motion to.
Roll calling.
adjourn.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Sabrina.
Yes.
Yes. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Okay.